Welcome back to Sports Nightly, the voice of the Walleye, Matt Melzak, joining us today. Now, Matt, quite a weekend for the Fish, 2 very big wins over the weekend.
Yeah, it really was, Claire, and to see the way they won those games, because they did it in 2 different fashions. Friday night, they did it with defense, great goaltending from Billy Christopoulos, and Sunday, they did it where the offense just took off, and it was a flood of goals. So it's interesting to see the way this team can win games. They can play a 2-1 game. We just saw that Friday, and they can get into a little bit of a shootout too because they have the offensive firepower to do it. That just speaks to the depth that this team has on its roster and the job that Dan Watson has done putting this team together, because you have to be able to play in all situations. Toledo can do that.
Now, yesterday's win was an interesting one, another comeback win on Cincinnati. At Cincinnati, they were down 3-0, came back, won it in overtime. And then last night, didn't quite get to that point, but they were down 2-0 and then powered back for that 6-2 win.
I thought the great line that came out of the game was when the players were talking to you afterwards, whether it was Josh Lindquist, whether it was Shane Birchback, and you asked them about coming from behind it. They just said, well, we're confident. And you're a confident group, and a confident group feels like they can do anything. And that can be a detriment sometimes because they are going to fall behind like they did the previous weekend. They fell behind 3-0 to Wheeling, never came back. Fell behind to Indy, managed to come back there late in the third period to tie it, but lost in overtime. So you can't do it all the time. But this team right now is above 500 when trailing after the first period. So because of the fact they're so strong in the second and third, they're still trying to figure out that first period. And it was very interesting that, Dan Watson said to me before the game, we need to have a good start tonight against Cincinnati. It's a team, they're a man short, they're playing 9-5. We need to get after them early, force them to come uphill against us. And what happened? Toledo's down 2-0. So, I'm sure he was sitting there thinking on the bench going, why can't we get, and it's not that they're not starting, it's just that their goals are not coming in the opening period for them. That's why they're a minus in the first period, but then they're huge pluses in the second and third, which means that it's coming along as the game goes along, and it's weird. Every team is different. Last year's team could start real fast and could hold a lead all the way through, and this, right now, 30 games in, this team looks like a team that's going to always be coming from behind.
Plenty of goals from Shane Birchback last night. His first career hat trick. What a way for him to get it, especially with that third goal in the second.
And it's amazing for a guy that's played over 300 and some odd games, 350 in his career, to not have a hat trick. Yeah. For a guy that has scored over 100 goals in his career, you would have thought, well, at some point, something weird's going to happen. You're going to have a hat trick. But, he's an assist machine. He's a point guy. He can chip in with goals, as we saw yesterday, and the way he capped it though, with that third goal ends up being on the big network and everything. Everybody's talking about it. The fact that he goes between his legs. I thought Rick Judson's line was great during the broadcast. How do you even think of doing that in that situation? Like me, I would have taken a shot, but it's like, how do you even think of that? And I think when we talked to Shane after the second, I asked him about that. He's like, it just happened. It's something you play around with in practice, and you get going across the goal mouth, and now you think, well,
may as well try it.
Give it a shot, and it worked. And he beat Luukkonen for a great goal, and really a great night for him.
Now, coming up tomorrow night, a big rivalry game down in Fort Wayne. What do they need to do to come away with at least a point, if not 2?
Well, I'll tell you what, they played very well against Fort Wayne, including the last time there. They won 6-2 and 3-0 against the Comets this season. Fort Wayne's a good team. They're a dangerous team right now, too, Claire. They've gone 7 consecutive games without a win. And they're 0-4-3 right now. That's their streak. They're not playing great, and sometimes those can be a dangerous team on a big night. They're going to have probably 10,000, at least 9, probably 10 when it's all said and done, especially with Toledo coming in there. There'll be Toledo fans that'll make the trip, but it's going to be a loud building. They're going to play with a lot of energy. They want to win on New Year's because it's such a big night for the city of Fort Wayne. It's just been a huge draw for them over the years. They play on Thanksgiving, they play on New Year's Eve. So, they always have big crowds on those nights. So, it's going to be a hostile environment. I'd like to say you want to get out to a hot start, but with this team, I'd say, hey, fall behind 3-0, then you got them right where you want them.
Exactly.
But it's amazing that you want to get out to good starts, especially when you're on the road. this team's been a good road team this year. I mean, they've already played half of their road schedule. So, I mean, they're very comfortable on the road, and, you know, we'll see how they do. But a lot of it's going to start with Billy Christopoulos if he gets the nod, or if Caden Fulcher's ready to go and he gets the start to have a good outing, because, you know, Fort Wayne will be ready to roll.
All right, well, Matt Melzak, thank you so much for joining us. Safe travels to Fort Wayne tomorrow, and be sure to tune in at 10 o'clock tomorrow night for another episode of Ice Check.